Alright, it is time to build a system. Alright, so basically we're about to launch into the building of this little bad boy. Nothing too exciting to say, so let's go ahead and dive in. After we finish with this building, which if you want to skip over this, I will link the time code to jump to if you just want to see the benchmarks. But we're going to build this, and then we're going to do some benchmarks, comparing it to my i7-4790.
Virgil Kane tore up the rails now, and this old highway never rode again. Gaining ascension seems a fright. The first two words you had me write are imprinted on the box that I sit in. I'm waiting for compiling for the apathy to release me with a never-ending explanation. And that winter 65 never kept that dream alive. And the trouble with harmonic modulation, though the language that I speak is never changing, the language I have learned could not mean less. And right now the script seems long. You know you'll miss me when I'm gone, and I'll look no longer for my happiness. I was born into a world of apathy. The men in coats around me spoke in static impulse. Now the one thing they can't hide is all the fear they feel inside. For the unexpected is always a must. Though the language that I speak is never changing, the language I have learned could not mean less. And right now the script seems long. You know you'll miss me when I'm gone, and I'll look no longer for my happiness. Though the language that I speak is never changing, the language I have learned cannot mean less. And right now,
So the PC is built, it's all finished, I powered it up, it's running already, I've already been doing stuff on it. But I was looking at it and I was thinking with that window there's just not enough lighting in there, so I grabbed a LED Corsair 120mm light to replace the fan on my radiator, and then a Corsair RGB lighting kit. So let's go throw these in the PC and then let's get some glamour shots of that thing, because it looks pretty cool right now.
it's easy to get famous if you don't care what it's for.
Well, it started when the monoscope made the troops turn black and the mushroom clouds glow white. through the monoscope. The flag seemed black, but the axis shone and bright. Mr. Sarnoff was a good man, and as good men go, he sought to show his might. Mr. Sarnoff had a big plan, took those fine-tuned hands to calibrate the light. In that day I was only a zygote, I still remember at dawn. I watched the pale blue colors on the side of the womb, with the closed caption on. With my whole world projected, I came disconnected and fell right on out of the screen. And in a world filled with danger.
Alright, so the build is finished, and now it's time to get into benchmarks. So for the purpose of this video, I did 3 benchmarks, all relating to video editing and rendering. The first test was a render of a 1080p video in Premiere Pro. The source material was 1080p with color correction applied to all the clips. The second benchmark was Cinebench, which is a 3D rendering CPU benchmark. And the last test was PCMark, which is a desktop performance benchmark. The numbers we took from PCMark, though, were specifically from the creative tests, which include photo and video editing related tasks. The first test we'll go over is the PCMark test. Now, this is a synthetic benchmark which tends to scale very well with more CPU cores and higher clock speed. However, it's also testing things like photo editing, which tends to depend more on disk speed than CPU cores. And since the desk setup was exactly the same between the two systems, we saw, unsurprisingly, an increase of only just under 15%. Again, this isn't too surprising, but it is a noticeable jump. The next benchmark is Cinebench. Cinebench, again being a synthetic benchmark, tends to scale very well compared to real-world tests. 3D rendering also tends to scale better than video rendering does. Since we have double the threads with our Ryzen CPU, we should expect double the performance, and that we do, with the Ryzen score being merely 93 points shy of doubling our Core i7 score. Lastly, we have the real-world Premiere Pro render. I wasn't quite sure what to expect from this test, as we've seen my Ryzen chip seems to have roughly the same single-core performance as the Core i7, but I've seen plenty of tests showing that Premiere Pro doesn't scale well with many cores, especially beyond 6. Premiere's scaling is especially bad with smaller resolution compressed formats, which this project was. Despite this, I was very pleasantly surprised to have a render time improvement of almost 2 minutes, a nearly 45% improvement. Those kinds of improvements are pretty awesome. Of course, these improvements weren't without any drawbacks. For whatever reason, Ryzen playback performance has seemed much worse than my Core i7. Of course, this is only subjective because I didn't do any tests to confirm this, but it felt like in Premiere Pro I was forced to disable color correction plugins and use resolution scaling more frequently than with my i7. This may be because Ryzen doesn't have any dedicated video processing capabilities built into the processor, like Intel does with QuickSync and ClearHD and other technologies. Ryzen 7 also doesn't have OpenGL or OpenCL processing capabilities because it has no integrated GPU, and Premiere Pro does take advantage of OpenCL acceleration. So overall, I'm very happy with the Ryzen upgrade. If you're running an older generation processor and looking to upgrade to Ryzen 7 or a Core i7 platform, I would definitely recommend Ryzen. As I've mentioned, it's not without its drawbacks, but AMD has done an excellent job of providing a high-performance chip on a consumer platform for a rather inexpensive price. Anyway, that is it for this video. If you like this video, if you like seeing the build, if you liked hearing about the benchmarks, hit that like button. If not, feel free to hit the dislike button. If you have any questions or comments about anything in this video or anything in any of my other videos, feel free to leave those down in the comment section below. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button.